Hello everybody, this is Brian Stannard and this is basically my tutorial on how to read the Torah. Today we're going to talk about Munach. I mentioned it last video, or I mentioned it in the Mercha Tipcha Munach Etnachta trope video, and I briefly mentioned that Munach is deceitful, or sorry, deceptive. It's a symbol that A, represents other trope names, and B, its melody changes depending on what other trope is around it. So it's like a chameleon. So I wanted to explain a little bit about what's going on with that and how you can avoid basically singing your Munach inaccurately. And when I say inaccurately, there's technically no wrong way to sing the trope. The way that you hear me singing it, I learned in a particular Ashkenazic custom of singing. So in other words, the melodies for each symbol are particular to certain Ashkenazic communities. It's pretty common, but as you get into either more distinctive or rare trope, or trope that doesn't appear very often in the Torah, the melodies and the notes, the way that the melody flows, sometimes sometimes there's a different path between different Torah readers. They could both be singing Ashkenazic trope, but one person's pazer might go a little differently than another person's pazer, and that's okay. However, when you're singing trope accurately, what you're doing is you're making sure that when you see a particular trope in the context of other tropes, and because of that context, because of the trope that comes before and after it, you've determined, okay, I'm going to sing it this particular way, and you'll have like a variation to it, right? So you sing that variation in that situation. Being consistent, okay, you have to make sure that when that trope appears in that same pattern with other trope, that you sing it in that same variation. It's consistent and it's also more accurate. You could very well have never learned how to sing the trope within that context and had to kind of make up something on the fly. It's best to find some kind of source, or at least just establish a pattern for yourself. So I'm just going to jump in here, okay? Because this is the most obvious one. You have Munach here, you have Munach here, and then you have Revia, or I learned it is called Revi, but Revia is the name of the trope. This little diamond thing, okay? But Munach is the little L that's underneath the words, okay? And we see the symbol here and here and here under a word that's not even Munach, it's Zakef. And again by another Zakef. So we wonder, well, what's up with that? And then we go along here and we have our really easy Mercha Tipcha Munach Etnachta. And so we've learned so far that the way we know how to sing Munach so far is Munach. Okay. That's only done in the context of these trope symbols. When you're doing Mercha, Tipcha, and Etnachta. When Munach appears in their midst, it does that step down thing that I call the Munach, where the melody goes like this, Munach. It moves from middle of the line, middle line to bottom, or to low. Okay, so that's one way to sing Munach, when it appears with these three other marks or around them let's see here, adjacent to them. That's the word I'm looking for. So when Munach appears adjacent to Mercha, Tipcha, and Etnachta, it sounds like this. Munach. Okay. So that's one way to do Munach. Another way to do Munach, or another way that Munach appears, is near a Revia. Okay? Munach will either appear before a Revia, okay, or it will appear behind another Munach that's behind that's before the Revi'ah. So you have Munach, Munach, Revi'ah, like you see here. Now, in printed texts, what you usually have, they don't have it on this paragraph, and they should really, is there'll be a line drawn here, and it's not a verse end, but it is a particular kind of pause, and it is specifically a Munach pause before a Revi'ah. Okay? Doesn't have to be a Munach on the other side of that line, but if there's a Munach and a line, and there's a Revi'ah on the other side, or a Munach Revi'ah on the other side, this Munach right here gets sung in a very specific way. And it goes, Munach, Munach. Pardon me, I'm sorry. It goes like this, Munach. Okay, I'll do it again. Munach, Munach, Munach. And because it's a pause, it's kind of one of those things where the melody kind of rolls a little bit, and it kind of creates a pause. It's almost like when you throw out your yo-yo and it spins and it sleeps and it stays in place. I like to liken the melody to that, Munach, because the melody kind of does a little loop there, right? And it's used grammatically or punctuation wise, structurally as a pause. So Munach, okay, and that's because it precedes either a Munach Revi'i or a Revi'ah after a line. So again, there should be a line here, okay, to illustrate that, okay. So Munach. And then on the other side of the line, the imaginary line that should be there, right? If there's a Munach right before Revi'ah, no line or anything, okay? The Munach sounds like this. Munach, Munach, okay? And then followed by the Revi'ah always, this is very consistent, the Revi'ah always sounds like this. Revi'ah. And just imagine it as being a flowing river, The way I like to remember it is the symbol for Revi'ah is like a diamond. And just imagine like a precious stone that's been made smooth by a river. So it's actually like a stone, a special stone, and it's been smoothed out and made pretty by the river. So, and also you have the word Revi'ah, kind of sounds like river. So you have Revi'ah, the river, makes the little stone-shaped symbol pretty, 'cause it's a river. So Revi'ah, or you can just remember Revi'ah and river. So you can just imagine water flowing down the river. Okay? And if there's a Munach directly behind it, it starts with Munach Revi'ah. And the cool thing about that is when you do the Munach, it sends your melody up. Munach Revi'ah. Okay? I almost like to see it as, almost like to imagine it like the Munach before the Revi'ah is like the ladder going up to the top of a water slide or a river in this case, right? So you climb up the ladder and slide down the river, which is right here. So the ladder, the river. And so that's like my little analogy I like to remember for Munach Revi'ah, okay? And again, if you have a Munach and then a line and then the Revi'ah combo, either Munach Revi'ah or Revi'ah by itself, right? If there's a line in the text here, okay, it'll go Munach, Munach Revi'ah. Munach, Munach, Revi'ah. Munach, Munach, Revi'ah. Okay? And sometimes you won't have the Munach that comes right before the Revi'ah. You may have a stopping Munach with the line, and you'll know because you'll have Munach, line, Revi'ah. Okay? And it means the Munach is da 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 da, not the da da da. No, it's not the latter because there's a break between the Munach and the Revi'ah itself. So it'd be Munach, Revi'ah. So occasionally you have that. Munach, Revi'ah. But in an ideal situation where you have like the full, the full set is you'd have a Munach, a line, another Munach, and then a Revi'ah. Munach, Munach, Revi'ah. Okay? So, if I was able to convey the information accurately here, you will now know how to sing Munach with Revi'ah. Okay? And you'll know the differences between the Munach with the stop and the Munach that comes right before the Revi'ah, and how to sing them accordingly. So now let's look at the fact that we have two marks down here that look just like Munach. But if we look above, the word above them is not Munach, it's Zakef, okay, or Zakef. Both of these trope marks have no relation musically to any of the ones we've seen before. They are standalone. And in fact, we'll probably do that in another video where I will just teach you what these are, okay? The thing to remember is this, okay? That this is not a Munach if it's followed by this, a katan. And of course this is not a Munach because it's followed by this, a gadol, okay? There are actually two different types of what's called a zakef. Here you have a zakef katan, which means small, and zakef gadol. Gadol means large, okay? So it's really the combination of the Munach-looking trope next to this vertical line with two dots, that this whole thing is the zakef gadol, and this whole thing here is the zakef katan, okay? So in the next video, I will talk about those, and I'm probably going to do this one too, the Machpa and the Pashta, okay? They have fun names. Anyway, so have a good day. Please remember to subscribe. My name is Brian Stannard, and these are my tutorials on how to learn how to chant the Hebrew Torah. Have a great day.